Joining us now here on In the Circle at D1 Softball, powered by 643. She's the new assistant coach at Arizona. She was a two-time All-American at Arkansas, has a lot of single-season records, one of the most prolific softball players ever at Arkansas, and now is continuing her coaching journey, which is we're going to talk about on this episode as the new assistant coach at Arizona. I speak of Danielle Gibson Whorton joining us here on In the Circle at D1 Softball. How you doing?
I'm great, Eric. Thanks for having me.
Let's start with the new address you've got here. What led you to come to Arizona? How did it all come out? Because you had just finished your first year at Cal. Just talk about the move here and joining Coach Lowe's staff.
Well, I think when Coach Lowe calls you as an Olympian, you answer the phone and you entertain the conversation for sure. I love my time at Cal. Steve Singleton is one of a great mind in our sport, and I loved our staff. But the decorated and historic program that Arizona is, and growing up in California, having gone to Arizona State, knowing the traditions and how impactful Arizona has been on our sport, definitely wanted a piece of that and be able to give to that program and to this program like I have with others in the past.
That's right, Pete. For those that don't know, you started your playing career at Arizona State. So in a way, it's kind of a homecoming from a state standpoint. What's it been like to be back in the state of Arizona as you're going to be now?
I love Arizona. I chose to come to the state of Arizona originally with the full intentions to be out here. I have family in Phoenix. I have a ton of connections to the state. It feels weird to wear the Block A because I had been so heavily into the Sun Devil growing up, committing at like 13 or 14 years old. But definitely, you can't deny the respect that Block A deserves, um, and so it's cool. It's cool to come back. It's cool to bring my husband and my son and have our family here. It's a beautiful area, great for kids, great for families. So all those are just bonuses for to work at one of the best universities in the country, especially in the athletics piece. So I'm pumped to be back in Arizona.
What's it like? What is it like? You brought it up when Caitlin Lowe calls. You got to pick up. You got to listen. What is it like to get a phone call from one of the goats in softball as a player, an Olympian, and Caitlin Lowe, who's obviously a head coach, did a great job there? What's it like when you first get that phone call? Were you like taken aback? Were you like, what was it? What's that initial reaction when you first hear her like calling you?
Well, so she texted me originally, and immediately I text my parents. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Caitlin Lowe just texted me," and they felt the significance of that uh, as well as I did. I grew up idolizing USA softball, like any good softball player and fan of the game does. I had my whole childhood room was USA softball. I had Caitlin Lowe up on my wall. I had Stacy Newman. I had Lovey Zhang. I had Jenny Finch pictures up on my wall. And so you can only imagine that when I text, especially my dad, who like took me to one of her camps when I was 7 or 8 years old, just barely learning how to play the sport. And she's teaching me, and now I get to work alongside with her. The impact and the weight of that text and that phone call and this job offer was it feels like almost like you make it, like I've made it in the sport. These people that I have seen as icons and seen as just amazing women and amazing athletes are now seeking out my expertise in our sport, and I feel just like a pinch me moment for sure.
Do you still have her poster? And if you do, have you shown her a picture of the poster?
I have it. I still have it. I'm pretty sure it's in like my childhood bedroom closet. I don't know that I've told her that story yet because I was a little embarrassed at first of how just starstruck I was because she's so down to earth and so sweet and just amazing. And so it's just it's a funny story, a full circle moment that I'm sure when she sees this, she's gonna giggle for sure. So
What better way for her to find out than here on the podcast publicly? But I know I can sympathize. I know what you mean though, because I remember like 17 years ago, I interviewed Kat Osterman because she was playing professionally. She was in town, and just looking her in person, I was like, and then like Jessica Mendoza, the first time I met her and even had her on the pod, I was nervous because she was like my favorite USA softball player. So that I know what you mean. It's kind of weird when you see them in person. They're just a regular person, and then you're like, man, if I am I a dork if I ask for a photo? You know what I mean? Like it's just silly
Totally.
nuts and stuff like that. Um,
Totally.
so let's talk about now your role because you've been a versatile coach in your young career since you started. We'll get to why you got into coaching in a moment, but I'm curious, what is your role going to be at Arizona?
At Arizona, I'll be the hitting coach, so I'll lead the offense and offensive strategy alongside Kate and her expertise and all. The great thing is in my career, I have worked alongside as a hitting mind, worked alongside expert hitting minds. And so I feel like I have this grasp of how to operate as a group rather than operate as a solo individual hitting coach. And that has been huge in my development and huge in my ability to take off the way that I have, and I'm very grateful for that. And so I will be running the offense here, primarily working with the all of our hitters, and then working on some first base stuff with Lauren Lappin and helping with the defense a little bit. But primarily focusing on the hitting piece, which I'm super stoked for. I have the offensive mind. I'm offensive focused, aggressive, and just excited to have that here and excited to work with our players here for sure.
Let's talk about you mentioned it and so you got this podcast thing down because you already were like thinking ahead. Like what I was going to ask you is one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the pod is because of the people you have had a chance to work with in your just very young career. Like your first year was a volunteer, I believe, 2023. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, at Georgia.
Hmm.
So you got to work with Tony Baldwin, who is respected as one of the best hitting minds in the sport. Like if we did a list, top 5, top 10 list of hitting coaches, he would come up there. You then, you just recently came from Cal. You got to work with Steve Singleton, who's been regarded as one of the best hitting coaches in the sport. You were at Arkansas, but as a coach, you got to work with, among others, DJ Gasso, who's now a head coach at Tulsa. He's been regarded well respected. I mean, that's a heck of a list there. Have you at any moment paused and thought, wow, that's a lot of smart people that I've been fortunate to be around.
Totally. I think in the call when I got the call to come to Arizona, and having this like, whoa, like me, like you want me to run the offense, and then I think about the years that I've had in the past and who I've been able to interact with daily. That whether that's the offensive piece like DJ Singh and Tony Baldwin, it's I've got to learn from Matt Michael, the data analytics professional guru in our sport, Courtney Deifel, who I've played for and worked for, JT D'Amico. Like there are so many coaches that I've had the experience to work with daily to learn about our sport, and so I have to also give myself the credit that I've been able to be in those rooms and be in those conversations. But I feel just like God was able to put me in my place and put the people around me to surround myself with the success that I'm hoping to have one day and give me that knowledge to get there quick and efficiently. So I mean, totally like pinch me. I've been able to work with some of the most amazing minds in our games, amazing humans, and I just have stayed true to myself and stayed true to where I feel like I've been called and my family's being called, and I've trusted my gut through all of this, and I could say that um, bouncing around has been some of the best that has been for me in the development in my coaching career, being so young, and now being able to just say like I am who I am. I'm leading Arizona offense, and I'm ready to go, and I know exactly how I want to do it and who I want to do it with, and not to say that I'm always still learning and I'm always still talking to Sing and I'm talking to DJ and picking their brains and getting to communicate and converse still with them on the daily. But it is just something that I felt like was placed through like literally like I feel like God puts me in these spots and I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, and now you're working with Caitlin Lowe, who also knows a thing or two about offense, right? In front of the
Right.
offense. So
Right.
it's like it's a who's who of list there. But all it is it's interesting because a lot of people don't realize a lot of head coaches that sometimes will advise their former players to go elsewhere, go outside of their program, to coach elsewhere, so you can get some new ideas and things like that. Was that something that was talked to you and Coach Steifel talked about, even through your playing career or when you joined the staff, about when opportunities would come up about, hey, just don't feel free to go and experience other philosophies or ideas like that, like you've done so far in your career?
Totally. I've had this opportunity now twice as a player with Coach Seifel. I told her pretty much from the year of my last year, my fifth year, I said, Coach D, I want to coach. Can you help me find a program that would um, be a great fit for me? You know how I am. You know who I love to be around, and the type and how passionate I am about this sport. Can you help me find a program to go impact? And so I pulled our staff together, our coaching staff at the time, and asked them that. And I had some offers, and then I got to the point where this whole talk of like the fourth coach is going to be paid. There's no more volunteer. And so I remember going to our athletic director, Hunter Yurchek at Arkansas, and just sitting down with him and saying, what do you recommend? Do you recommend me going in and being a volunteer coach, or do you recommend me staying here, being a grad assistant, or getting my master's degree and just kind of waiting this thing out? And he goes, you need to go. You need to go and you need to experience. This thing is going to pass soon, and it's only going to give you more of an edge and a one up in your field because you have true authentic experience of coaching as a volunteer assistant. And so Georgia kind of came up, and I have always respected that program. It's funny, they recruited me out of high school and they recruited me out of the transfer portal, and it just didn't work out at the time. And so I've always felt a connection to Athens. And so when Tony called and I called, and we talked about this and thought it was going to be a good fit, it was like finally third time's the charm. I get to Athens, and it was great. I give a lot of my credit to Tony and how I operate and who I am, because he gave me a ton of confidence in the offensive piece. He let me, as a fresh out of college, at the time pro, like, hey, just go work with them, go work with the kids, go do your thing, go teach them. And he never micromanaged me. And so that was how I learned and fell in love with the offensive piece, because he let me go do it, and he trusted me. And so then when Coach Seifel calls and I have this opportunity to work for my alma mater, um, you have to take it. You have to be able to go back home and have this homecoming and work for your alma mater. And I just couldn't say no. I loved Tony. I loved our staff there. I have such great ties. And I hadn't planned everywhere I've been. I hadn't planned on moving on as quick as I did. Um, but I think that my personality as a go-getter, as a, everything is as temporary as you want it to be, and having the courage to say yes and go figure some things out. I think that sometimes is my greatest asset and my biggest fault, um, going hand in hand. But going back to Arkansas and then getting the call from Steve Singleton last August, I remember calling Courtney and being like feeling in my gut like this, I needed to go and do this. And I called her, and she's just like, it's her alma mater, it's Cal, it's this national championship program, it's this amazing opportunity. And I go through everything with her, and we both didn't really know Steve at the time, and we didn't have a ton of connections there, so it was just kind of blindly going in and trusting his word. And I'm so glad I did. And she was like, Gib, you want to go and be and do things at levels that you want to go do things at, go and do it. Like, we're going to miss you. If you want to stay, you are more than welcome to stay. But like, she supported me in that. And I've, hand in hand, the courage that I have to go and say yes to do things, I also have the people and the support in the background that are telling me, go, 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 go do it. And that is my career so far. It's go do it. I have the support system. I have the courage to pair with that, and it's paid off so far. So I'm gonna keep doing it.
So far, it has. So let's talk about your philosophy as a hitting coach, because we've mentioned all the names that you've surrounded yourself. So I'm sure there's a piece of them that you've picked up as part of your philosophy. On the other hand, Oh, by the way, you were a two-time All-American yourself. Like I mentioned, you're at the record books in a lot of the Arkansas offensive numbers. A strong argument could be made that you're on the Mount Rushmore of Arkansas softball players, especially on the offensive end. So you probably have your own philosophy there. So how do you describe your style as a coach, and how much did you have from your play? You got from your playing days? How much have you gotten from the people that you have worked for in your career?
Well, I would say I my philosophy is no philosophy. I joke about that because I genuinely believe that we all do things differently. And the beautiful thing about our hitters and our sport, it's developed so much. And so by the time they are recruited and they get to our level, we like them for doing specific things. And so what I call myself is an enhancer. I'm a swing enhancer. I want them to continue to do what they're doing really well, and we'll fine tune some things and we'll pair it with some game planning, which is I can get into it after this of what I feel like my bread and butter is. But um, I enhance their swing, I build their confidence, I help them understand the autonomy of hitting so that they're not reliant on us coaches, they're not reliant on certain numbers in the game plan. They can just go out and play freely. And so I fully value the swing of going to the oppo G, what Tony teaches and hitting the ball deep and kind of pairing some pitches together. I learned a ton there. I feel like that's a huge reason why I was having success in Athletes Unlimited at the time that I was there. Um, was being able to see the ball deeper and take it to the opposite field. And then I have DJ Gasso where it is motor preference, it is windows, it's timing, it's a little bit more individualized for his athletes. And then with Singh, he let me go and run the offense. He let me do things and figure some things out. And I'd always go to him for some advice, but he's just like, no, like, timing, direction, game plan, like that is the name of the game. And for him to have the success he's had in the major league or in Major League Baseball as coaching and in the minors for himself, and we tease him all the time. Double 10 is what was his nickname was because he hit so many doubles or whatever. But there's just so much that goes into hitting, and when I've seen the three do different things, and I've seen all Americans come out of each thing, I think it only helps for me to incorporate all of that and give it to my athletes and give them the best thing for them individually. And so I'm not stubborn when it comes to style. I'm not stubborn when it comes to timing windows. I'm not stubborn when it comes to game plan strategy. If you are a see ball hit ball person, hey, I'm gonna speak that language with you. And so I've always felt like I've been pretty adaptable in the hitting piece where I understand, hey, this athlete doesn't really need a leg kick or doesn't really need, a timing phrase in their head. They can just go out and do, or hey, this athlete needs me to hold their hand a little bit more and teach them a little bit more in practice on how we get to certain end goals so that in game that they can go in and perform at their highest level. But I do believe that my bread and butter is in the preparation. I love it. I love the cat and mouse game with the other pitching coaches and trying to decide, okay, what's the next pitch? What's the pitch after that? What are they trying to set us up for? What are their tendencies? And so I try and give our student athletes the best case scenario of how to set them up for success without giving them like, okay, in the third pitch, if you miss this curveball, like you're not going to get anything else to hit and just big whoop. It's more of I'm going to do that behind the scenes. We're going to work on it in during the week in preparation, and then we're going to go for it. And then we're going to go in the game and we're going to trust our prep and we're going to trust what we've spent. And I know that I've done the research for them to be successful. And I think that confidence, they feel that. And I'm long story short, no philosophy for me. I've taken everything I've learned and I've able to pour it into my athletes and pour it into my hitters, and then give them the best preparation when it comes to opposing pitchers and opposing teammates and game plans. Because at the end of the day, it's you versus me for 7 innings, and we're going to get after it. And I want them to have that freedom to go get after it.
And that's so important because you're inheriting players. You kind of have to a lot. They're A lot of some of the players you're inheriting have had a lot of success. So there's that balancing act of, hey, if it's working for them, you don't want to mess it up. But on the other hand, there might be some things you see to tweak. So how do you balance that out when you talk? You're coaching a player that is used to a certain way. You've talked about it. Adapting is a big part of your philosophy deal there. So that's a big key here because with every player is different.
Yeah, I think that it's the relationship piece. Like, I had a great relationship with my coaching staff at the University of Arkansas, and I think that that was a big, huge piece of my success. Was I sat down with them and I sat down with our hitting coach, and I just was like, "Hey, I do things this way, and not in a stubborn way. Like, I always want to learn." But they also valued that I had success before and that I had proven success coming over from ASU. But um, they gave me that freedom to just operate as I pleased, and they got to know me for me. They got to know me of like, how do I operate the best? Do I need a game plan? Do I want to do research on my own? Do I want to do research with them? Do I want to see the data? Do I want to, they started asking us questions that I hadn't experienced that before. And so now as a coach, my biggest thing for this fall is, can I develop relationships with our student athletes that, in pairing of going and getting after it and working and becoming better hitters, can they fully trust me so that when we get into the spring, they know they know that I am setting them up for success every single day. They know that I'm going to be in the cage with them, going through it when they don't feel like it's right. I've been there. I understand that you can go and hit two or three bombs in a game, and the next day you like forget where to stand in the box. It happens. And so when you have that understanding and when you have that connection with them, and it- the trust builds so naturally, and I'm hoping that we can get there sooner than later. Um, we start next week, and so I meet the team next week, but I'm hoping I can get there quick this fall so we can really start jump starting. And they're all great hitters already, so I really am just enhancing. This program is phenomenal, and so I'm just enhancing them, and then they understand that I'm not here to fix. I'm not here to say, hey, you swing wrong or you don't step right. It's, hey, tell me about why you step that way, or hey, tell me about how you prepare for games. And it's all a big conversation, in my opinion. Hitting and a hitting coach is about relationship and conversations and just understanding where they're at and what they need in the moment. And so with the however many hitters we're going to have this year, with a 5 for 5, or with the class 2022 coming back or whatnot, it's however many hitters I've got, it's my job. It's why I'm hired, to have relationships with each one of them. And it's the best part of the job. It's the best part of the job to get to know them and who they are and their quirks and their desires and their goals. And then how do I help them? How am I going to be of service to them to go and get them to their goals? And so I use myself as a service worker rather than someone who's just a delegator in the offensive piece. And I think that they feel that, and I hope they feel that soon. So it's the best part of my job.
Was coaching always the plan? Was that the goal, or did it evolve into that?
It definitely evolved. I do remember being stubborn early in my collegiate career, like, no, I'm not going to coach. I don't want to be in softball anymore. And then you get a taste of the success that we had as a group at Arkansas, the doing, winning the SEC for the first time, and winning the SEC tournament, and seeing the collective greatness that we were able to build and the purpose that I felt every single day. I remember having a conversation with Coach Teifel that she probably maybe or maybe doesn't remember, but I just was like so scared of not having purpose every single day of my life like I had in college athletics, when sports were done for me. And she was just like, I remember her saying, like, you will always have purpose in this, like, in this world, but because you feel that way, like coaching is definitely an option for you. And so I just remember that so vividly. And every day I have a purpose now as a mom. I feel it differently, but every day I have purpose when I show up into my office, when I show up on the field, and I'm able to serve these women and serve these athletes. It is a full it's me feeling like I'm giving back to this sport that's given me so much, that's placed me in these moments, that's placed me in these groups, that's giving me these icons to work for and to work with. And so I have purpose every single day of my life, and it is the most fulfilling thing that I feel that you can have in this life. And right now in August, I'm just sitting here. I'm sitting here waiting for our baby to be born. I'm sitting here waiting to get started. And so it's just like this whole waiting game. I'm like, where's my purpose? What am I, And so I'm ready to get going. And the purpose piece is huge for me and my own identity, I guess. So
It's funny because I followed your career since obviously your playing days at Arkansas. And it's funny. I've joked it's like the Zoom era because you know this very well. We used to do a lot of post games and media availabilities on the Zoom. So even though this is your first appearance on this podcast, you and I have actually spoken on Zoom before when I would be at those
totally.
Arkansas media availabilities. So I've been following you since then. And you can correct me if I'm off base on this. I felt like you went from I'm going to be a player, focused on as a player, then you were still playing with professionally. You then went from balancing coaching and playing, and then at some point you said, "No, I'm going to focus more. It's all coaching." Am I accurate in that this description? And if so, when did that switch flip there, where you're like, "I want to focus in on my coaching career as number priority"?
Totally. That is kind of how it was for me. I've always wanted to play professional softball. I always wanted to make it to, be on a USA roster and go and play with the greats and do all these things. And fortunate enough for my time that Athletes Unlimited took off right at the end of my collegiate career. And so to be able to be a part of that has only allowed me to be in circles that are amongst the best of the best in our sport. So I feel so blessed to literally be surrounded by the Amanda Lorenz, the Victoria Haywards, the, you know, Taylor Edwards and everybody that's in that league. I'm surrounded by these amazing people and I wanted to be a part of that as soon as I can. But when I finished my career, I knew in my heart that like I was supposed to serve collegiate athletes and I was supposed to be a coach and teach. And I'm very people who know me, I'm very decisive and I'm very um like when I have something my mind made up, like it's going to happen. Like I don't care. I will do whatever it takes to make sure that that it will happen. And so before I had my son, he's almost 2, I had the time to train. I had the time to go and train and give my all into these programs. And when I had him, I wanted to make sure that I knew that I could do both. I could be or do all of it. I could be a mom, I could be a coach, I could, still be an athlete because I do love the training piece. That's the biggest thing I miss. I miss training every single day. I miss going to the BP rounds and talking hitting with Sierra Romero, with Sydney Romero, with all these people that I've just looked up to my whole life. That's the biggest piece I miss. But I'm telling you, like my love in this life is the purpose and the fulfillment I feel when I'm able to just see the success that these players have. There's nothing like it. Like I've hit the home runs. I've done the things that I've won the championships. There's nothing like seeing the light bulb click in these hitters when they feel like they've found something or they feel like they have somewhat figured out what they're trying to accomplish. And seeing a group of women, I am a I am just a tool for them as their coach. But seeing these group of women go and win championships, go and set records, go and do things together, and knowing I have a little piece of that, it's like a drug. It is like the biggest drug for me. I love it. I love seeing them succeed, um and I knew that was like okay, I'm ready to just be a coach. And a lot of people don't understand that. They're like, well, why won't you just keep playing? Like, why, playing is the most fulfilling thing. I go, well, that's your opinion. My opinion is I love to see when others succeed. And trust me, I love the connection of hitting a ball 250 feet and getting a jogger on the bases. But there's a little bit more for me to life than just doing it myself. So
It sounds like the that aspect of coaching that if you call it has replaced the juice that you get as a player those game days, right? Because that's always the challenge is how do you replace that juice that I've always heard from players that you can't duplicate it as a player. But it sounds like as a coach, that's the ultimate as a coach. That's why you get into it is to see those people succeed that you help develop and coach. It sounds like that has helped replace that playing, and as a result, you're at peace with not playing.
oh, totally. And there's days that I'm like, give me the bat. Like, let's go. I'm gonna go take around a BP and go and do the thing with the players and get to talk the talk and connect with them. But um I love to throw them BP and I love to see them swing and hit the ball really far. I feel like our sport continues to grow. And so I look at them and I'm like, how do you hit the ball that far? I don't get it. Like people are our athletes are just stronger and faster and better every single year. And it's just the sport has grown so much. The coaches that continue to develop them in travel ball and in their youth sports are getting better. And so to see them come into college with such strength and such power, I'm like, I can't keep up anymore. Like these cats are really swinging it. So it's cool to see them be so look at them and see and also like, oh, they're really good. They're better than how I felt like I was at the time and people who I felt like were really good when I played and all the things. So it's cool. It totally has replaced it. I feel so and I feel blessed for that. I feel like I'm so young to feel that purpose and have filled that purpose in my life after having um, the success that I was able to have with my team and everything at Arkansas and yeah. So I do feel every single day I wake up super grateful.
Or you can always show off in practice too if you have to, right? Like I mean, you can always like
Like,
I'm
hey
just
guys,
telling.
it's easy. No,
Have you taken any swings yet at the ballpark there?
I haven't. I'm 37 weeks pregnant, so I am
You got to okay. So
waddling
yeah,
around.
priorities. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
fair. You have
I'm waddling around in this heat.
understandable. You got more important things. Understandable. And down the road, you will, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I'm curious. What would Coach Danielle Gibson Whorton tell Danielle Gibson, the player? What is one thing you would tell Danielle Gibson that maybe you feel like Danielle Gibson needed to know or hear that, or she wished she would have known as a player?
Oh, outside of some of the I have a long list of offensive of offensive goals that I wish that I knew or ideas and ways that I could have talked and explained things. Like I have a long list, and there's times, especially when I was at Georgia, that it kept me up at night. Of like, "Oh, I just wish I knew like how to pair pitches. I wish I knew how to like see things and prep better and stuff." But I think that I would tell her, you don't need to know everything. Like trust your ability, trust the confidence that you have, that your parents and that your support system has instilled in you. Because at the end of the day, this is all going to be done, and you will continue to learn. But with where you're at currently in your career, just trust your confidence, trust who you are, enjoy the moment because you don't have to have it all figured out. Um, and that is my biggest piece outside of the list of offensive strategies. But the mindset piece is huge for sure.
That's pretty good. Is the coach different than the player? How different is Danielle Gibson Whorton the coach and Danielle Gibson the player? Or are they more similar?
I would love to ask my teammates, especially my fifth year at Arkansas. I'd love to ask them to see who I am and what I've become. But I would say personally, I feel a lot more. Um, And I guess it's just experience. You understand it's a long season. You understand that there's going to be highs and lows. But I remember in moments like when I wasn't feeling my best or we weren't doing well as a team, like in panic mode. And now I'm like, hey, it's okay. Like we're going through these struggles. We're going to learn from them. We're going to understand what we need to take from them. And so I feel like I'm a little bit more laid back as a coach, still very aggressively competitive, but I don't feel as like do or die the intenseness that I did as a player, just with the desire of wanting to be so successful so bad, and feeling the leadership role as a player. Like being a leader wasn't as this huge thing as I thought that it was going to be, and what I thought it was going to take for me vocally. Um, and so I think I have a lot more trust as a coach, and maybe that's just because I'm forced to. But I have a lot more trust. I have a lot more perspective, and I'm not as so like I guess what I maybe felt at the time, like so tight and so just like I guess intense with how I approached every single day.
I think you're on the right staff. You talk about as competitive a staff as it gets with Coach Lowe, you, Coach Lappin. I feel like you all
Hmm.
can win a 3-on-3 matchup if you were challenged. Like I would put you at the top of the list.
Well, it's funny. So I took my husband and my son into our office today, and he got to see Kate's office, and he was like, "Whoa!" Like all of the accolades and all of the trophies. And I go, "Yeah, she's legit. Like she's had the career that she's had, and she's like the best of the best." And it's funny. I joke with him all the time. I'm like, I've been with him since Arkansas, and I'm like, "You only know the pros. You only know the Olympians. Like." How lucky are you to be just like surrounded by these? And I get to this spot where he's like, "Yeah, it's just your boss. It's Kate. It's Caitlin Lowe, you know?" And I'm like, "No, it's Caitlin Lowe. Like you have no idea that what the mag just what the weight that that carries." But so it's funny. He gets thrown in. He's got like my friends who are Olympians texting him about certain things, and I'm just like, you just got thrown into here, and I've worked my butt off to be in these into these
I was gonna
circles.
say, like, do you have to remind him? Hey, I'm a two-time. Mom's a two-time All-American here. Here, I prove it, right? Like, do you have to remind? Hey, it sounds like you got some competition there for your kid's attention there and
I know. I'm
approval.
like, I did this for us. I went through the ringer for us. But no, it's great. It's exactly why I go about my life every day is to provide my family with the best resources. So it's great.
You mentioned that one of the things that's why people have brought you up is so really someone a young coach on the rise. You have a unique perspective in that you've played in the South, you've coached in the South, you played in the West Coast, you've coached in the West Coast. You like, in other words, it's not like you're one region. Talk about that, the differences with playing and coaching softball in the South and then the versus in the West and in between, and how that helps you too from a recruiting standpoint, among other things.
Yeah, and especially growing up in California, like we kind of joke that California softball is very quick, it's fast, it's old school, it's sacrifice bunts, it's stealing, it's getting quick plays. It's not necessarily a stand in and swing it sport. Where I grew up in California, it was a fast game. It's always been a fast game. I think that that's why traditionally some of the better players, especially defensively, come out of the state of California is because they're used to playing a fast game. They're used to understanding that piece. And so I knew I wanted to play in the Pac-12, that's why I originally picked ASU. And then when I transitioned to into the SEC, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I just was like, yeah, this is a new conference. I'm sure it's all going to be the same. And hindsight's always 2020. Looking back, it's like now that I've coached too, I've understood the importance of standing in and swinging it and being able to leave the yard at any point and having the resources and the power in your lineup to do that. And then I've also understand and really appreciated the speed and choosing to run signs and choosing to run plays at the same time of being able to stand in and leave the yard at any point. And so I say that paired with I've learned so much preparation from the SEC. I've learned so much preparation when it comes to like trying to be one up on our opponents always. Um, and I give credit to Matt Michael for that. It's who I've always looked to from it and asked questions for like, hey, how would you prepare for this? Or how would you do that? And then just being curious myself of always wanting to be prepared. Um, and so I think that having both sides of that, and then now being able to have coached at Cal and coached a group that probably was we stole 70 bases, hit 50 home runs, like kind of was evenly balanced for our skill level at that time. And I'm proud of our players there for what they were able to do with the season that we had and the resources that we had when the stadium was being built and all that. Um, it kind of blended. And so Sing and I blended along with Camille and Chelsea blended this idea of Southern style softball to California style softball. And so I'm a fan of that program, I'm a fan of Sing, and so I'm excited to see where he's going to go with it. But I also bring that to Arizona. I bring a little bit of Coach Lowe being this speed icon in our sport and the short game and the slapping and things like that. But then also I understand understand the importance and how to create stand in and swing at hitters that can leave the yard at any point. And so that's I'm super grateful. Like I feel like I've been in such great places at the right time, and I plan on always using that.
I can sense that in your voice. You're excited. You're ready to get going. I can
I'm
tell you
ready to
that.
go. I'm
You're
ready to
ready to
go, and this
go.
is making me more excited.
Well, good. Hopefully not too excited to the point where
Yeah.
you gotta kind of contain a little. But yeah, I'm curious too. Obviously, this past year, your alma mater made it to the World Series for the first time. You were a big part of the building blocks. You were part of, their re-hosting regionals, winning SEC titles. What was it like to see your alma mater there in Arkansas finally break through and get to the World Series this year? And how much does that add to your hunger to get to the World Series as a coach?
Yeah, I felt so much pride, I was just so proud of that coaching staff for one, and for two, having recruited a lot of those players, helped recruit a lot of those players, and been and developed some of those players. Like I when I saw that game, when I watched the Duke series, I just have such my husband graduated from Arkansas too, so we just felt such emotion, like huge, powerful emotion from it because we understood the hours that's been put in by that staff. We understood the type of humans that are there as players. And I wouldn't have wanted a better program or better people in that program to go and do that for the first time. And so, by all means, there was a part of me that's like, gosh, like, I wish I could have been there with them. I wish I could have been, with them and gone there for that with them for the first time. But at the end of the day, I felt so content and so just proud of everything that they've done. I know the hours. I somewhat know the hours, a little bit of what Coach Seifel has put in and her past and the struggles that she's had, and that she's always put aside because she wants to see the program do well. That she's always shown up every single day as who she is and her best version of herself for her athletes. And it's empowering. It is why I do what I do every single day, as I've seen it done before. I've seen a mom of young children show up every single day and choose us and also be a great mom and a great wife. Um and so to see that whole staff, like I get emotional about it still. And it for me, it's like, okay, it's the word finally, but it's like, all right, we're here. Like we've done it. Let's continue to do it. And so I'm excited to see them go and do things. But it really hit me like Ella McDowell and I had a great relationship, player coach. And when she was able to like kind of shout me out or give me the credits of laying the foundation before her, I think it truly set in. It's like I had been there doing things, and maybe not having a little bit of imposter syndrome, but like seeing a player of her caliber of what I feel like she is. She's an amazing athlete, an amazing person, and being able to coach her at that time, and then her shout me out as an alum was like, whoa, this is really cool. And so I'm really proud of them. I'm really proud of those players and proud to be a part of that program still. So
Very, yeah, and they're like I said, yeah, your fingerprints on that team. So, as you mentioned there, a couple things before I let you go. You're still young at this, so this might not be a fair question because it might not even have crossed your mind yet. But quite frankly, one of my takeaways here is you sound like a head coach already. Like, yeah, and you've been around a lot of great head coaches. Is that an ultimate goal down the road, years from now, or are you like, no, I just like hitting. I like just being. Where are you as far as your ultimate goals? Do you set goals?
yeah, I do want to be a head coach. I want to be a head coach. I want to be at the highest part of the program. I want to be able to lead from the front, a little bit more than what I do. But I also understand, like, I'm in the midst of having and building my family, and and so I'm not really in this huge rush to go and have that and meet that goal. But I know that every single day I'm a day closer to being in that role, and I try to not take that for granted, and I try to always, I guess, provide some type of development for me professionally, personally, that will help me become the best head coach that I can be when that time comes. But I do love to hit. I love to teach hitting. I know that once the head coach role comes, a lot of meetings come up and a lot of A lot of time is consumed with things that aren't on the field. And so I don't envy that right now. And so I'm really content with my role and being a hitting coach and being able to raise my young kids and have another baby. And so I'm just I'm really I'm really excited to one day be a head coach. And then I'll also just trust my gut when that time comes. So
Have you met Mike Condrea yet?
I haven't, and I'm just dying to meet him.
Oh,
I know.
that's another landmark moment there. Like we talked earlier about like being in awe. Like when I
Hmm.
met Mike Condrea in person a few years back, I was like, "Whoa, that's Coach Condrea in person."
I
And
know.
you're like, "Wait, why is he retired? He still has the passion for it." You watch, he's going to talk a lot of stuff, and apparently he's got a great suite. I've been told. That's going to be good.
Yeah. One day, hopefully soon. I mean, we've just this summer it's busy, and so one day
Understandable.
soon I'll be able to shake his hand and get to meet him. So
That'll be pretty cool. In the meantime, as you get now into the fall, this will be my last question. What are some goals you want to set with your players as you get to know them and they get to know you between now and then February when the season's about to start?
some goals. Um, Well, I think I want to just help build them the perspective that what we do every single day is to go to the World Series. And so every decision that we make, every our behavior that we show every single day, how we're showing up to practice and how we're hitting and how we're treating each other, our end goal is to be in Oklahoma City in June. And so for me, that's why I show up to work every single day. And for the goals for that is to continue to have that. I don't know that they're necessarily going to be numerical goals, but it's our intention, it is our focus, it is our work ethic, it is how we hold ourselves and each other every single day. That every day I'm thinking about Oklahoma City in June. And I hope that I can bring that for them. I know that they have that already. I know that that is something established in this program, which is also so appealing to come and work for. But it's offensively specifically like we will not rest. We will not bow down offensively in every game until we are in Oklahoma City in June. And that's how we're going to treat practice every day. That's how we're going to treat every hitting session. That's how we're going to treat every film session. And so that's the standard that I want our goals to be set at with whatever we decide at the time of what's important to us in our offense and our personnel.
Are you one that likes to know about the person going in and maybe study their tape a little bit, or are you one that likes to see it with your own eyes? You want to and kind of have a fresh start. What's your philosophy on that?
I've watched some tape, but I feel like it's so important for me to see them in person and how their bodies move. And so I'm having the baby in early September, so we're gonna get some testing in. I'm gonna have the baby. I'm gonna relax at the stadium and watch them hit and watch them operate, and just watch them do their thing for a little bit before I step in and feel like coaching starts or feel like the fine tune and enhancing piece starts for them. So I definitely want to get some eyes on them before I do anything specific and anything crazy for them. So
Well, we look forward to that, and I know you got a lot of important things ahead, so I especially appreciate you taking the time from your schedule to talk to me and talk to us here on the podcast. Good luck. Early congrats on the big date in September, whenever the
thank
little one
you.
decides to come out and introduce to the world there. So congrats to the family there and good
Thank you.
safety there, and then good luck there in Arizona. Thanks for always being awesome to see play as well. Like I said, you were one of my favorite players to cover in Arkansas, and seeing your career kind of taking this journey, it's certainly fun to follow. So and cover. So thank you for everything you've done for the sport, and thanks for coming on in the circle on D1 softball.
Well, thank you, Eric, and ditto. It's always great talking with you. So I appreciate you always having me on and speaking so highly. And I hope I do the same with you and D1 and all the things. So best of luck this season for sure for you guys and your coverage.